How's it going, everyone? Jiivita here with a power coil placement video. I hesitate to say tutorial because there's really no right or wrong way to do this as long as the machine is properly powered. If you're unfamiliar, these are power coils right here and they attach to their matching machine. So if you notice, this machine is decorated with yellow and these are yellow, so they're both made out of topaz and they connect. So if I try to take this red power coil over here and put it on this yellow machine, it just wouldn't work. So you have to make the right coil for the right machine. This is a refinery right here. And there's lots and lots of different ways to do this. And if you're not really sure why you would want power in the first place, there's actually two things in Boundless. There's spark, which is generated by this spark generator. You can think of it as like electricity. But then why in the world would you want power? Well, power is kind of like an augment or a boost, or you can think of it as maybe like torque, like the different gears on a bicycle, but it makes the machine do stuff faster, more efficiently, and it unlocks additional recipes. So certain recipes flat out require a certain amount of power. These are advanced power coils. Each coil gives this machine 300 power. It's never consumed or anything. It's not generated. Just one machine equals 300 power for this machine. You can come over here and under contents you can see how much power is connected. So this number divided by 300 is however many power coils I have attached here. So that would be, let's see here, 12 power coils. If you're using the basic coils, then you only get 100 per coil. So but anyway, if you have more power than the recipe actually requires, it not only crafts the item faster, but it uses less spark as well. But the trick is that you need more power than is required by the recipe. So if you have something that requires 3000 power, if you want the additional speed and spark efficiency, then you need power beyond 3000. So that's kind of where this video comes in. And right here, as you can see, this is a very perfunctory, just kind of boring wall of machines. So we got the machines up here in the front, power coils back behind. You can have up to 24 power coils on one machine, so this particular configuration doesn't exactly allow for it. I could maybe put some power coils up above this machine to kind of squeak in the extra power, but anyway, let's jump over here. Oh, and here's a couple of things you can do with this kind of setup is just go ahead and make this the wall. So you could work in some storage, maybe chisel some blocks decoratively so you can still see some of the cool power beams and things going on behind there, or you could just fill in with regular old blocks and make it as a wall. So but anyway, let's jump over here where I got a bunch of other stuff set up. So like I said earlier, there's no right or wrong way to do it. This is a setup I used in early access and I've used up until very recently. Basically this middle machine right here is the machine that has power, but then there's also 5 machines, so 4 other machines here in each corner that are unpowered for making, just simple things that don't really require spark or power. And I don't really care how fast it happens. So coming over here, there is a number of rules as far as power beams and how they connect. Basically, a coil is going to favor connecting either north or west. So it's going to try to connect to the north first if it has a choice. If it doesn't have a choice between, like, say, north and south, it will take west as its backup. And then after that, it's really whatever's left. So as you can see, this coil, it picked the west machine to connect to. This coil over here, it picked the north machine. And you can take it even a step further, the machines will favor a lower elevation over a higher elevation. So both of these coils pick the lower machine over the higher machine. However, coils, once they do attach to something, they will favor staying attached to it. So if I break this machine, it'll connect over here to this other workbench, and if I replace that block, it will stay connected to the machine it was already connected to. So it is possible to work around these rules if you want a particular coil to attach to a particular machine. And certainly that is how this setup worked, is basically I had to wait to place all of these extra machines until after I placed all of these coils connecting to this machine. Otherwise, some of these coils would connect naturally to these other machines rather than this one. But taking a look at the power benefits of having extra power beyond what the recipe requires, if we look at the centriforge, we can see that it takes 15 minutes to craft and it takes 400 spark. The way the benefits of power work is that it's all front loaded, so you get the biggest effect by the first bit of power you get, and then you run into diminishing returns after that. But let's come over here and take a look at this centriforge. With this machine that has a little bit of power, you can see it only takes 279 spark and only 10 minutes. So we shaved about 5 minutes off of that, as well as about 200 spark, a little over 200 spark. Come over here to a machine that has maximum power. You can see that this centriforge now only requires 7 minutes to craft and 187 spark to craft. So that is a little over a 50% reduction in spark, and the time is basically chopped in half. I think that's maybe 60% faster. So by having extra power, you can save yourself not only a lot of time, but a lot of spark as well. So very, very nice. Problem that I'm running into is I need more machines with power on them, and I really want to take advantage of that spark reduction. So basically I need a new setup, and what I came up with is basically this over here. So right here I can have 2 workbenches. Each workbench has the capability of having maximum power, which is 7200 or 24 coils. And yeah, it works pretty well. There is a more compact way to do this if you're willing to put opposing or at least different machines right here. So down below I have a workbench. This is an extractor, and that allows these machines to stack on top of each other and saves you 1 block of space. However, you can use that 1 block of space kind of creatively, so I put in some storage shelves. I could put some more over here, also a block right here, and actually something that'd be really good to put here is maybe a crafting table, since the workbench needs a steady supply of sticks for all the tools you probably will be crafting, and it's super handy to have a crafting table right here close by with a bunch of logs in it, so you can make some sticks as you need them and not have to like run clear over to the other side of your base just to get to your crafting tables and all of your sticks. So here's a vertical version over here. You can even incorporate maybe some doors that you could like lock to keep people out of the beams, because if you run into these beams, they'll not only damage you, but damage your power coils as well, and they can be a little bit time consuming to repair because each coil has to be repaired individually, and they also have quite a bit of durability to them. But taking a closer look at this, you can see that each one of these rows is 4 deep. So basically we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 times 6 is 24, so there's our 24 coils. We could certainly take 1 row of these and maybe stick it here in the middle, but then it kind of isn't exactly balanced. So I kind of opted for the balanced approach to this. And then up above, it's just the same thing mirrored, except mirrored. So instead of being below, it's now above. And again, you can chisel some blocks to keep people out of the beams, as well as yourself, creatures, and other things. You can still kind of jump up here and walk around here. And the cool thing about either one of these setups really is that you can come over here and you can have, this is basically one of every machine with maximum power in this pretty tight spot. This is exactly 15 blocks wide and it is 6 blocks tall, so you could literally fit all of this into just 2 plots. Granted, I would find it personally hard to live off of just 1 machine of each. I personally like having machines that are specific to particular jobs, like say making sackcloth or making the various essences like Ancient Vital Essence and Fresh Vital Essence. But certainly something you could do with this room is basically make a square out of it. So like one wall is one set of machines, come over here, here's another wall, and then just basically repeat this 4 times. You can even have your spark generator right here in the middle, and you just bring off a unique line for each side. So there's that side. You bring off another spark cord coming off this direction for this other wall, and as long as it doesn't connect to this other one, you won't really have to worry about running into that 100 spark cord limit. That's what the spark link looks like from behind. So there's the link going off to the spark generator, just comes up here and runs along the back. So pretty straightforward. As you can see, there's certainly lots of different options as far as how to decorate this. So if you wanted a wall, you could go ahead and put a wall. This is what you can do with a slope chisel. This is a bevel chisel with kind of this frame right here. And then this is actually pretty slick. I like this one. But yeah, again, it's just a bevel chisel, but instead of doing this inside edge, I did the outside edge. The advantage to both of these two right here is that you can actually repair all of these machines from the front. And as long as you have like maybe the bonus attributes, you should have enough reach to be able to reach even the back ones, but certainly you could just leave an access to the back side, kind of like a little utility space, if you didn't find that a very comfortable experience. So kind of two ways to be able to repair those. And if you're going for a super clean look, this kind of buried in the floor can offer that. It's really pretty nice. The only thing I have against this is kind of like, well, you got this really nice clean surface, especially this one right here. And where do you put all your storage? I guess on the walls out around the machine, so I guess. The only thing I don't like about that is I like having some storage right beside my machines for all of the things I frequently need. Or maybe I'm trying to switch out materials and yeah, it's like inventory's overflowing, the machine's overflowing, and so it's really handy to have some storage close by. And I'm not saying it's impossible with this setup, but if you're going after the clean look, you're probably not going to want a whole bunch of shelves right next to this machine. But here's another thing is you can actually mirror kind of the floor and ceiling. So this actually this chisel design right here I think would look a lot better if it was up in the ceiling, but yeah, it's just kind of for food for thought basically. But this is kind of cool that you have a machine coming out of the ceiling, a machine coming out of the floor, and kind of the same concept of what's going on over there. The only problem with this setup is maybe running the spark cord for everything, so this probably need unique lines for both the ceiling and the floor. And another thing to consider about the floor, if you can't repair, say, from up above like you can like this, I mean, it's not the most comfortable, but it is possible. But if you want to repair from down below, you're gonna probably need to leave at least one gap right here. So looking up here, there's 5 blocks between these machines, whereas there's only 4 blocks over here. As you can see, there's no real great way to get to those inside power coils, so something else to consider if you like this style. Another thing to keep in mind is that eventually we're going to have things like Blink, Dark Matter, and Rift and the super advanced tools that go along with those new materials. Presumably those will also require additional power, so basically having a setup like this is more or less maybe future proofing. So it's kind of one of my motivations for switching over to a system kind of like this or this one over here. I do like having the two like machines kind of close together. It makes the storage around those machines a little bit more specialized and kind of has like a workstation feel to it. So but that's just kind of my 2 cents. Let's go take a look at some other people's setups just to see what other kind of crazy awesome ideas are out there. Okay, so we're over here at the Ultima Guild HQ City in the Dark Tower. Yeah, this is kind of what I've at least dubbed the bug zapper, because, I mean, if I was to swing around on my grapples, what I would normally do in a tower like this, I think I would get electrocuted, but this is a pretty crazy setup. It's so alien to how I would do it. It's like it boggles my mind, but certainly, like, Okay, so you have the spark generators here in the middle, and then each cardinal direction you have a machine radiating off, and then each level is for a different machine. So this first level is for workbenches, and yeah, it's all nice and open. There's plenty of room to stuff coils and machines. You go up a level and it goes to the next machine, and then there's actually some handy portals right here that go to all of the different levels, so you don't have to use the ramps if you don't want to. Certainly that seems like a bit of expensive. And then finally at either end there is all of the storage, so pretty crazy. That was one thing I was wondering, is like, well, how do you get the stuff to do all this crafting, because there's no storage at hand anywhere. So that's basically how it works, is the storage is at either the bottom or the top, and then you just run through the portals until you get to the ones that you want. So a really interesting design, should be pretty flexible. The one thing you might run into is the mesh limit. So you probably want to, if you're going to build a tower like this, make sure it's on the borders between like 4 chunks. That way each quarter of the tower is more or less in its own chunk, and you shouldn't run into issues at least quite as fast. And we come over here, this is Scentless Shop, and he has a pretty interesting setup. I thought about trying this, I just couldn't really think of any advantages to doing it. So he has these machines laid out horizontally, and on either side he has power coils. You could even maybe put some on the back side, kind of built into the wall. And he actually even has some storage, which I really like, back behind here. So yeah, it works. Looks like this particular machine needed some extra power, so do have to keep in mind how you're going to expand. Certainly you could have put it on the other side of the machines, but it looks like he's got the spark cord running back there, so kind of an interesting way of going about it. Okay, so we're over here at the Mad Science Lab, which is a pretty awesome name, I have to say. But yeah, this is a setup I can really get behind. It's got all sorts of storage built in around just these little machine blocks that are just kind of sticking out. On the back side of here is where all the power coils, spark cords, so it looks like the cord goes up and then connects to maybe those power generators over there. But yeah, really nice setup. And you could even put more cores kind of sticking out a little bit, or you could build maybe just keep like a little walk space and then repeat what you've done over here on this other side to kind of seal all of this away out of sight. But pretty awesome setup, I have to say. Okay, well, I think that wraps this video up pretty nicely. We saw some pretty interesting and creative ways to set up coils, as well as the kind of really compact ones that I came up with. But anyway, this was Jiivita. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more like this. And if there's anything you didn't like, please let me know down below. Also, if you like my channel, want to get cool perks, check out my Patreon page. Until next time, peace.